This is the box of the 4000 DS Mark II recorder, and it's a bit dulled and there's a bit of grit and dirt. There's a little bit of damage on this corner over here. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to clean this box up, and the way I do that, it's called reblacking. We're going to need gloves because it can be quite messy, and so you don't want to not wear gloves. The product that I use for this is a local South African product, Heritage Craft Paint. It's fabric paint. It's actually permanent acrylic based fabric paint. You could probably use black PVA. The reason why I use this one is it's reasonably thin, and we've got like a bit of an empty one here. Now we're not going to paint this. That's very important to emphasize. We're going to wipe this stuff on and we're going to wipe it off again. And that's important because if you paint it on in a thick layer, it dries, it's going to peel off at some stage. So essentially all you're really doing is staining the box to make it look nice and new again, because this box is not so bad. It's worth saving. There's just one ding on the corner here, and when we get to that, we'll make a plan for that. So without any delay, because I'd like this to be a reasonably short video, what we do is we need a sponge, and we essentially just put the sponge there. And I use this reblacking technique on turntable mats and lots of electronic things. And there you can see we're just rubbing it on. I've actually thinned this paint a little bit with water because it's an acrylic based paint, like PVA or domestic household sort of paint. And there you'll see it's straight away. It doesn't look dirty anymore, it doesn't look dull, and I've got these gloves on and you can rub it in. So essentially you're rubbing it on and you're rubbing it away again. And I don't know if you can see in the light there how it's catching the light, but you don't want it to build up into a film. You're rubbing it on, you're rubbing it off with the sponge, and that's to just re-black it, make it look nice and new again. So I've been running the 4000 DS now for more than a week. One of the problems on the machine was towards the end of the tape, the machine was slowing down. The way the tape sits on the reels is that it's not linear, so the speed, if you watch a tape machine playing, you can see that when there's more tape on one roll than on the other roll, the actual rolls travel at different speeds. And that's quite interesting because with the 4000 series Akais, it's a single motor with a system of pulleys. You see that's looking quite black. This side is still quite dull. Also there's a little line where maybe over the years this vinyl has shrunk away a bit and it's exposed. The MDF or the plywood, whatever's under here, is a little bit exposed. So by the process of reblacking, we soak a bit of this black paint into that crack. So if you look here, we can see we run it along there and then we rub it away, and that corner that was exposed vanishes. This is a cosmetic thing that we're doing, but it's important because if the equipment looks old and tatty, then it's not really very desirable. So that's what we're doing here. We're not really going to do much to the back of the unit at this point because I don't want to obscure the maker's label. Is an important thing. So you will have to experiment and find out what works best for you and your situation. But the moment we've dyed things black, it hides some of the imperfections and problems. yeah, it looks fabulous. It looks great. It looks almost new. There was a speed issue on the machine, which I'm going to demonstrate how to resolve that. Now, the problem with troubleshooting is you can shoot hours and hours and hours of footage, and you can end up spending hours and hours editing, and it's all rather tedious, and I don't think any of you good folks out there in the world want to watch a video that goes on for hours and hours. You probably just want to come to the solution, so that if you've got an issue with your machine, so what I did it was actually slipping. There were two things that I did on the machine, and I'm going to demonstrate that on a new machine that I acquired last night. It's also a 4000. It's a 4000 DS, and it's not the Mark II, it's just the Mark I, but it's just the 4000 DS. So I'm actually going to film that to show you what I did. But basically I used a little diamond sharpening thing that I'll show you in that video to roughen up the capstan, and the little rubber pinch wheel was quite glazed, like shiny looking, and didn't have a lot of grip, so there was a bit of slipping there. I did adjust the clutches on that machine, but I also took the main drive belt. So the motor sits here, you've got this big flywheel, and you've got this wide rubber belt, and I thought maybe there was a problem with that belt, so I took the whole thing apart. I soaked that belt in hot water, almost boiling but not boiling water. I soaked that in there for a while, and then when I looked at it, I saw that the belt was a little bit warped this way, or worn this way, so I actually turned the belt inside out, put it all back in the machine, and it's been playing faultlessly since then. What we're going to do is we're going to put the machine back in this box, and there's an important reason for that, is we've still got other things that I want to do to this machine to make it perfect. But if you leave a machine dismantled for long enough, you start to lose all the bits. They get muddled up with other machines you might be working on. So it's always a good idea to reassemble the thing and put it on the shelf and work on another project, because once you've lost the bits, there's no spare parts for these machines. Once we've reassembled everything, we might give it another little go over. But basically I've re-blacked it, and it's looking rather grand, actually, if I say so myself. Don't be afraid to comment. I will respond to any comments.